You are now listening to Protecting Your Nest with board-certified family medicine and obesity medicine specialist Dr. Tony Hampton. For more, visit drtonyhampton.com. Welcome to the Protecting Your Nest podcast. I finished medical school in 1995, and therefore I've been practicing medicine for over 27 years. In those 27 years, I've been given the gift of helping my patients, but not until I started focusing on lifestyle did I begin to see the magic that that type of focus would bring to my patients. I've always believed that diet was the key, but not until about 11 years ago did I discover the magic of reducing carbs and the miracles that come with that dietary approach. Today, I wanted to introduce you to one of my patients who's also a work colleague and his lovely wife so that they can share with you and you can hear firsthand what lifestyle medicine can do and why that's the best way to help you achieve your health related goals. Today's guest is Desmond Charles Battles. Desmond is a native of the south side of Chicago, where we both practice and work in healthcare. And he has a very strong spiritual foundation, which started with his roles as a core musician and head of the chaplains. Desmond was later licensed and ordained in the gospel ministry, where he served as a youth pastor. He participated in outreach ministry, and he hosted weekly services, prayers, and revivals. This allowed him to reach many people. He continues his education at the Nazarene School of Theology, where he graduated and received his bachelor's. He also received a master's degree in theology in 2012. He later became an elder, a bishop designate, and finally a bishop. And he continues this mission where he is an emerging apostle as well. And now in the process of completing in 2 of 4 books. He has 4 children, Tyler, Desmond Jr., Tasia, and Dylan. And he is joined by his lovely fiance, Patrice, who has another baby in the oven. And I'm really excited to bring them to this episode today. And with that, guys, I welcome you to the Protecting Your Nest podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So glad to be here.
Oh, yeah. You inspire me. And, at our clinic, we work together on the south side in the clinic. And often there's not that many guys when you think about it in clinic, right? So it's myself, you, there's Al, who kind of keeps our things stocked up. We got Chris, who kind of works on my schedule. We have a couple of docs, at least in internal medicine, Dr. Ghanam, Dr. Muhammad, but really it's not a lot of guys.
Right.
So us guys must stick together. But a lot of times I'm doing a fist bump. But when I started seeing you and I had been doing the fist bumps, I didn't really know what was happening since our first visit. And then there was this transformation. And when I saw you for that second visit, you shared your successes after we had talked a little bit about what the best approach was after you were diagnosed with diabetes. So let's start our journey by talking a little bit about family. I kind of introduced Patrice. I introduced the names of the kids. We got somebody in the oven. And I think I remember during that visit when we celebrated your success, we did a FaceTime. And I had a chance to interact with Patrice as I celebrated, because I knew it wasn't really you. It was really her who really helped you.
She's in charge.
That's right. I've been married. We celebrate, believe it or not, on June 12th, me and my wife celebrate 30 years,
Wow.
Believe it or not, of marriage. And I can guarantee you that a lot of my success is because of her. We just need somebody to kind of push us in the right direction. But let's talk a little bit briefly about maybe how you guys met and share a little bit about your family.
Well, we've been friends for over 8 years, and I mean, good friends. We didn't plan any of this. In fact, she was one of the bros to me, and we became the best of friends. And one day I decided, let me shoot my shot and see if she bite the bait. The first couple times she didn't bite the bait. No, well, she's slow. And then finally she bit the bait, and I'm like, oh, holy moly! And the rest is history. The rest is history. The best choice outside of my kids and Jesus Christ Himself that
Mm,
I've ever made. So
nice.
yeah, this I don't. And every now and then we'll look at each other and like, I don't know how we even got here, But you stuck. You're
Right.
completely stuck.
Absolutely.
And I often tell people that Patrice saved my life in more ways than one.
That's right.
Especially in this particular case, because had she
Yeah.
drilled me, I would probably, and we'll talk about it later on, but I'll probably be somewhere at 6 feet under, and she's trying to figure out how to raise 4 kids. So
Hmm.
um, I'm grateful for her, and the friendship that we originally started, and now I actually like her, and I think she liked me too. Check yes, no, or maybe. And I love her, and I'm in love with her, and I'm excited. I'm excited about my life and this brand new lease on life that God has given me because of her. So
Yeah. Thanks, Patrice, for being there. Thanks for being there. I met my wife the same way. My wife was one of the guys. We were at Xavier hanging out, and she was just one of the guys. And it was such a part of the culture that we had to keep it secret for a while. We didn't want to disrupt the
yeah,
relationships with our friends because I can't date her. She's one of the guys, right? So, and that's a great way to kind of start your journey because you really get to know the person as a friend. And sometimes you just, I don't know what happens. You just have that one moment when you look at that person differently. Not sure why it happens, but it just happens. And thankfully you guys were a match made in heaven, literally. So I appreciate that.
literally, literally.
Now, let's talk a little bit about hobbies before we dive into some other stuff. I always like to hear, like I play tennis, right? I played tennis for Lane Tech. I grew up across the street from a tennis court, so that was kind of like my thing when I was growing up. But when you guys think about the things you like to do outside of work, where I know you, Desmond, what types of things do you do for fun?
Sleep. But I enjoy. I'm a book reader. And people that know me, they know when they walk in my office, or they know if they look in my car, they're going to find a plethora of books, and not just religious books. I like all type of books. I'm into romantic thrillers now.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I'm figuring out how to get rid of people. So I'm into romantic thrillers, and I posted something on Facebook and Instagram about some of the books that I'm reading,
Hmm.
and people was like, "Oh, that's not about church." I'm sorry, this you can't you can't tell me what to read.
Right.
Right,
In
right,
addition to
right.
the fact that I am a Harry Potter fan, um, yeah, so so yeah.
That's okay.
That goes without saying. If you go in the office and look at my desk, I promise you're swept up and down. He's been there.
There's Harry
But
Potter everywhere.
I enjoy reading. I enjoy a lot of family time.
Hmm.
I'm a
Cool.
family man, even if it's just we sitting and watching TV, or we watching movies. Lately, we've been taking our dog Taco, and we'll go to the park and grill and watch the kids run themselves crazy so they can come home and go to sleep and not bug us.
Mm.
But just even after before and after church, like today, we're enjoying family time. So
Mhm.
between family time and reading and sleeping, it used to be eating, but that changed because of you.
Yep.
Um, and snacking and sleeping was the best. The two S's, snack
Mhm.
and sleep. Well, three S's. I
Wow.
can't say the other one. Snack and sleep. Snack and sleep was it. But I enjoy reading. I enjoy family time and just embracing everything that life has to offer.
I love it. Patrice, anything that you do outside taking care of that big crew? Uh,
Yeah. That's pretty much all I do.
I know.
No, but I mean, I'm I write. I write a lot. I've kind of
Okay.
fallen off a little bit though, just because of everything
Hmm.
that's going on.
Life,
But
life, right?
yeah, just they're pretty much
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's it.
And I
Snack and
snack and
sleep.
sleep. So I
Well,
picked up where
understood.
he left off, but I
Amen.
That's
try
right.
to make sure
Yeah,
that
yeah.
he stays on track. So
That's cool.
we're
I love it. A
we're
lot
good.
of similarities in terms of your focus. I do a lot of audiobooks, but I love reading, and I definitely it resonates with me. Just your focus, and my wife is very similar to you, Patrice. She definitely likes her sleep, and snacking is always a challenge for all of us, no matter if you're trying to deal with something like diabetes or not. So I think those are all really cool. I mentioned when we started about how, us guys, we do our little fist bumps. We used to do, we still do a little bit of the arm thing, but COVID's a little calmer, so we're more comfortable with the fist bumps. But, I don't, again, I mentioned that I wasn't really aware of the transformation. I kind of saw it. I know you had lost weight, but I just didn't know. And I looked at the report from the ER. And when I looked at it, it was like, young guy comes in, no prior medical history, right? With abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, fatigue, loss of appetite. And then, they mentioned that you were diagnosed with diabetic keto acidosis. So I know we did a video short where we talked about the difference between ketoacidosis and ketosis, but I think I want to hear more about that in terms of how you felt emotionally. Uh, you're a guy just doing your thing. You're doing your bishop thing. You're doing your dad and wife, father, husband thing. Uh, I know you guys are engaged, but what was it like for you to be told you're sick? I mean, what did that feel like?
This has been an emotional roller coaster. Coming from somebody that's invincible.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Or
I
so you thought.
I thought. I mean, I could eat anything, drink anything, do anything, and it do nothing. Like I was perfectly fine. I was always this husky guy, that I'm Superman, type deal.
Mm-hmm.
And to be told, to get to a place where I no longer have control
Mm-hmm.
over my life and over, my faculties, the way I function. And I was literally slowly dying and didn't know it. I just
Mm-hmm.
thought that, Superman just needs to lay his cape down, take a nap, get back up, keep going. And as I stated in the video short, um, little lady to my left, to my right, she made me go to the hospital because I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
going. I wasn't going because I have a fear for. I have a fear. I mean, my anxiety goes from 0 to 1,000 just being in the hospital or the doctor. No, no, hell no, absolutely not. And to be taught, and I'm thinking, they gonna tell me that I just need to rest and I just need to stop stressing. I pastor a black church, and so some of this stuff comes with the territory.
Mm-hmm.
And they gonna tell me to lose weight, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And to be told, we have to literally put you down
Mm-hmm.
and admit you, and you need this and you need that. And they started bringing these needles, and it was like, what is happening? And I immediately, and I'm not an emotional, well, I wasn't an emotional person, but when they admitted me, of course, now Patrice stayed in the parking lot from the time that I got to the hospital. It had to be about like 9 something that night. And they finally admitted me at like 2, 3 in the morning. And of course, hospitals in Chicago, or what's this, Evergreen? What was that, Evergreen? What's Christ?
Oakland.
Oakland.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hospitals in Oakland, like you can't have visitors. So
Mm-hmm.
she wasn't able to stay with me in the waiting room. So I'm literally by myself Phone's getting ready to die, and I'm looking like, what in the
Mm.
world are you doing here?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
there were several times where I'm like, I'm gonna just leave, and she texts me like, if you leave, we gonna be
Mm.
boxing outside this hospital, and then you're gonna have
Absolutely.
another reason
Absolutely.
to be in the hospital.
Yes.
And you know,
Yes.
to be, and it's almost like going from being free to do everything to now being restrained.
Mhm.
And I remember them coming in with insulin, and I kind of just froze.
Mm.
I just started crying out of nowhere, and she's like, "You're
Mm.
okay. You're in the right place. You know, you're good." And I'm like, I can't be here. I can't.
Mm.
This is too much. And from the time that they admitted me to the time they found a room, I spent a half a day in the hallway waiting for them to find a
Mhm.
room for me. They
Mm.
didn't feed me for 24 hours. Finally, they did bring me this. They brought me this burger because I complained. I raised all type of holy hell, and they brought me this burger with some carrots and some cold mashed potatoes. And I swear to Bob, it tasted like Steak and Shake.
Mm.
And yeah, that's how hungry I was. And I don't want to talk to anybody about insurance. Well, we have to update your insurance, and we have to do this, and you want
Mhm.
to do this, and what happens if this? Lady, don't talk to me. Just bring me some
Mm.
food, and then eventually let me go home. That never happened that way. They
Mm.
put me in. They put me in this room, and it was like, okay, Mr. Battles, you can get comfortable.
Mm.
No, I cannot. I'm ready to go
Mm.
home. And
Mm.
I found myself literally in tears because all of this talk about diabetes and
Mhm.
insulin and all these things, and then they were checking my sugar
Mm.
um, almost 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day,
Mm.
and it's like it wouldn't come down, and so it was
Mhm.
like, well, if it doesn't come down, this is a longer. Like they literally kept me for a week, and I'm like, oh my god! And then to hear two different doctors of two different nationalities come in and say, you must know somebody because you should be dead. You should be in a
Mhm.
diabetic coma, and you probably wouldn't wake up. And then
Mm.
another doctor came in and said, you could have been in a diabetic coma at any moment,
Mm.
and you would have fell asleep. And if nobody around you knew what was happening, you just would have died in your sleep. And
Mm.
so by the end of the week, your church, your family would have been planning a funeral.
Mm.
And so to hear that, and I think I sent you a picture of when I finally was able to get up and go to the bathroom. I took a
Mhm.
picture of the things in my. I was literally going to the bathroom, and we see this stuff on movies, where they got the not the oxygen, but the IV and this
Mhm.
whole machine, and I got to unwrap it and go in the bathroom and plug it up so they can still get my blood pressure and insulin can still. And so to have that moment was very emotional.
Mhm.
And it was an emotional roller coaster. And I tell people a lot of times that before the Sunday I went, because everything happened on a Monday. The Sunday I went to church, we had two services. Our service is in the afternoon, and then we have 2:30 service, and then that particular day we had a 7 p.m. service. And as a pastor, as a bishop, I'm real funny when it comes to certain things. And Holy Communion, I literally fumbled all over Holy Communion.
Mm.
Um, several times during the service, they would see me walk out down the side of the church to go to the bathroom and
Mm.
come back. And it's because every 5 minutes I couldn't drink anything. And I thought I was dehydrated at one point.
Mhm.
I couldn't drink anything because I was always going to the bathroom. I was all,
Mhm.
some of those times of going to the bathroom was to throw up air because I was nauseous, but I didn't have anything on my stomach. And then I was tired and droggy
Mhm.
and so all of that happened. I'm thinking maybe I just need to go to sleep, to go to the hospital. And they say, no, you're sick.
Mhm.
And the only thing I can think of is, what did you do to get here?
Mhm.
And so, leaving when I left the hospital, and my church kind of well, once she warned everybody, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my parents
Mm-hmm.
until the day I was getting discharged. My church didn't know until the following Sunday. They
Mm-hmm.
just knew Bishop is not allowed to do anything. And I kind of snuck in and did praise and worship, and everybody was watching me like, no, sit down, relax. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't let me preach for 2 weeks, in which worst 2 weeks of my life. Um, but it was definitely emotional to see that, and I think that at that point I became more in tune with um, I became more in tune with God. Not that I wasn't,
Mm-hmm.
but became more in tune with God and became more in tune with myself and my body and the changes that I need to make.
Yeah.
And it grew me and Patrice closer together. My 7-year-old daughter literally cried, literally was in
Mm-hmm.
tears to see me, not being able to come home. And I didn't tell my 11-year-old and my 3-year-old what was going on until later on. And so it was definitely an interesting season for me. So that's that.
Yeah. Patrice, I want you to look at Desmond, Desmond, look at Patrice. And as a guy, I think it's important that we celebrate
Yeah.
what Patrice did. There's so many times when guys are kind of just like, I'm good and you're not good. And it's our helpmate, it's the person that we spend our lives with who provides that guidance. So I want to hear it myself. You let her know, thank you for saving my life. Look at her right now and tell her that.
Hi.
I tell her all the
I
time.
know you do.
I tell her
It's
all the time. I
yes,
would not
yes.
be here, and a lot of times, and I do it a lot. I do it a lot.
Yeah.
In
I-
fact, every morning, I get up because I listen to the podcasts that you have, and I listen to music in the morning as I'm getting ready for work. And so I'll take my phone, go to the bathroom, and get myself together. And before I really start really moving, I'll text her and let her know, how much I love her and appreciate her,
yeah.
and how much she say. And I get choked up every time because you never thought, you know, you never think any of these happens. But
That's
Patrice
right.
knows that she is the reason that I exist today.
I
So
love it. And it's a simple one thing I try to do with my wife is just a simple text. We don't, a
yeah,
lot of times we don't think about it. Just a quick little send a little image or just, hey, I'm thinking about you. And I think it means so much. And we never want to take each
every
other for
I
granted
do it every morning. Every
every morning.
morning,
I love it.
no matter what, she gets a text from me
That's
and
good.
she could be laying next to me, sleep.
Yeah.
She gets up and looks at her phone. She gonna see
It's going to
this.
be something there.
Yep.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you for modeling that. And I want to also go back to the hospital just for a moment and think about, first of all, um, that you definitely were enjoying that meal that they finally gave you. But if I were in a hospital, right, I would have said, give
No
him
burger.
a bunless burger.
Yep.
Don't give him mashed potatoes. But again, we live in a health system
Yeah.
that doesn't understand the benefits. I do have some good news. I'm going to be making a video short, hopefully, about the new study that came out comparing the keto diet to the DASH diet, which is the dietary approach to stop hypertension. And if you're in clinic with me, if you see handouts from some of our colleagues, it'll have the DASH diet. But the DASH diet was compared to the keto diet, and guess which diet won? The keto diet.
Oh, absolutely.
They've never put those two diets together. It was better for diabetes. It was better for blood pressure and obesity. So hopefully, as we get this information out, we do quality randomized controlled trials. We can then say to people, it's okay. All of this fear, just like with that video we did comparing ketoacidosis to ketosis, stop all this nonsense fear. Use your common sense. You have a carbohydrate intolerance, reduce the thing that you don't tolerate. That's just common sense. But again, we live in a world where the fear from the past has harmed us. But what's really cool about your journey is that you started off with a hemoglobin A1C super high at 11.9, which means your average blood sugar was like 280 or more. And then only 3 months later, which is why those fist bumps meant so much to me, and you got it down to 5.8, and that's considered borderline. In fact, 5.6 is considered normal. That's a 3-month difference. So share with the audience a little bit about how you were able to achieve those goals.
Well, I customized the keto diet. And when I came out of the hospital, um, of course they fed me like a bird, and I lost so much weight just in those 4 or 5 days of being in the hospital. And when I came home, Patrice and I were into making sure that everything's where it needs to be. I didn't have snacks. My first glass of wine um, was like, I'll never drink again. because it was the quote unquote healthy wine, so to speak, so they say. And my first, and it was very small. Like I literally took like 2 sips and was completely like I needed a whole different day off work.
Yeah.
Coming home to and I'm sitting here looking at all of these medicines I came home with and how many times I had to go to the doctor, refill them, and having to shoot myself with insulin twice a day, in addition to all these pills I have to take. At night, my body would go through all of these changes. I literally thought that I told God, if this was it, don't let it happen with my family around. So I would send Patrice to the store. Tasia would be at school. The kids would be at school. And at nighttime, I would go through all of these changes, be shaken and body going through, and have to run and get apples and oranges. And I've never seen Patrice move as fast as she moves. To get me something sweet like I had candy on the side of the bed. And it got to a place where I started knowing that, hey, something may happen. So have this near, have this near, have this near. Because in the hospital, they were in the room 4 or 5 times a night. So, they would catch stuff. But when you're at home, things are different. And then to check my sugar, and it was 200-300. And it's like, well, what am I doing wrong? So doing the keto diet, I wasn't a fan of bread anyway. But potatoes and French fries, in which somebody still loves bread and potatoes and French fries and all those things that are not healthy for you.
Yeah, but I limited them because of you.
All these carbs that we're eating, and I will be looking at her like, this is so unhealthy. So one of my favorite places to eat at is Seafood Junction. And I might lose my card, as we talked about, but I'm a fan of like broccoli, cauliflower, and so I'll literally go and get a plate of broccoli, and I'll eat that and be perfectly fine. We even did, bringing spiritual religion into it. We started doing, was it no meat fast? Where we were eating vegetables only. And we did it without a problem. It wasn't an issue. We don't miss meat at this point. We don't miss it. Like, we can live without it. Don't get me wrong. When I had my steak after that, and my chicken and my ribs and all, I was good, but I don't need it. And so just doing a change of the way I eat, even my snacks. I'm learning to have snacks now, or cheat days or moments. They come often these days, but I'm pregnant, so it just comes with the territory. But I've noticed that from Twinkies and Ho-Hos turned into kettle cooked chips and
Mm-hmm.
peanuts and, stuff like that. Every now and then I'll treat myself to multiple scoops Sunday
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
a Milky Way.
Mm-hmm.
But if I do that, then I won't do anything later, just to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that I'm not overdoing it. And I've lost since before the hospital, or since right at the hospital, I've lost about almost close to in the 3 months that we've seen each other. I know I've lost over 20 pounds. So
Yeah,
you can add like another 15, 20 on top of that from the
that's
time
right.
that I got out of the hospital. So, just did some changes, and Patrice was and is supportive. My church became really supportive because they would bring me all type of snacks and
Mm-hmm.
all type of stuff, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, so who got the goods? And everybody was like,
Mm-hmm.
no, bruh, the goods is this healthy stuff. I mean,
Right.
they raided my refrigerator at church and took out all my juices and
That's
replaced
right.
it with water. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what in the hell? What is this? Put it back. And even as it relates to what I drink during service, I come and I looked at one of my armor bearers the other day and I said, "What is this?" It was like, "Oh, it's just Gatorade, or it's
Mm-hmm.
just water." And I'm like, "No, where's the juice?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the pop?" Because I'm
Mm-hmm.
used to that, and so I've gotten accustomed to living a uh, for the most part healthy lifestyle. Now, like I said, I have my
Mm-hmm.
cheat days,
That's right.
and they work well for me. But I thank
Mm-hmm.
God for a supportive fiance, soon to be wife,
That's
and
right.
family and church, that has really, really not stayed on me, but made the changes with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and now that we're pregnant, it's very interesting to see how, because somebody still loves carbs, but it's interesting to see how she won't eat it around me,
Yeah.
or she'll try to do all the unhealthy stuff before I get home, and then
Mm-hmm.
after she ate all this good stuff, she said, "Oh well, you want some vegetable stir fry?" No, no,
Yeah.
I want that burger you just ate. So yeah,
Yeah. There's levels to this. So like let's just talk about you've learned that processed food is a problem, and that's why you're trying to socialize even at church what's normal. I've spoken at many churches, and I've spoken at apostolic churches, I've spoken at Baptist churches, and others. And what I find is that every time I speak, they have food, and it's never the right food. But so we think, and sometimes it's because it's cheaper. It's easy to go to Dunkin' Donuts and grab donuts and bless people with that when you're in that setting. So the first thing is that everybody should understand. Let's get rid of processed food. And the next message I think I'm hearing from you, we don't need perfection. So you kind of suggested you have cheat days, and that's okay. Uh, and and I'm a huge meat eater, but what I'm hearing from you is that you try to focus on non-starchy vegetables like broccoli. So if you eat meat, it won't raise your sugar, but it also won't raise your sugar if you eat non-starchy vegetables. So I think people have to find their lane, find out if you're not a
what works
broccoli
for them?
fan, don't eat broccoli, eat something else that's not starchy. But also alcohol is such a part of our culture.
Oh yeah,
And there is something called oxidative priority. And what that means is your body is very smart. It prioritizes how it burns fuel. Alcohol is a fuel source, believe it or not, just like in our cars. But in our body is considered a toxin. So what your body does is, you know what? If you're going to drink the alcohol, I need to get rid of that first. And so the priority is alcohol. But guess what happens when you consume alcohol? Your body's not going to burn ketones and protein and carbs and fat. So that's why you see guys with a beer belly, because when you're drinking beer, often you're not going to burn fat. So the key is to know this so that if you're going to drink alcohol, you recognize, okay, that's going to impact my blood sugar because I can't process the sugar. I can't process the carbs and these other things. And I think we have to be knowledgeable. So as you kind of teach the congregation, you're going to share messages of healing because they're going to look at you and say, hey, Bishop, how are you losing weight? Bishop, how did you get off medicine? And I guess that's the next question we should talk about is medicine, because let me ask you this real quick. Did the hospital mention low carb or keto while you were there?
No.
Exactly. So you can see
Definitely
that's a, yeah,
mentioned diet, but low carb, keto, no, they didn't
didn't
mention.
even come up, right?
No, but I
And think about,
knew who to go to.
yeah, but think about how nonsensical that is. Like you're telling me I have an intolerance of glucose and carbs. Nobody at the hospital at arguably, I mean, we're talking about one of the best hospitals in the country.
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully, when I mentioned the DASH diet versus keto study, that's what we need so that these highly intelligent, educated clinicians will say, "Oh, I didn't know keto was okay. Oh, I didn't know that it was." And in that study, by the way, it was twice as effective at lowering blood pressure, blood sugar, and losing weight. Twice. Think about that. So I'm just excited about that study. But let's go to the medicine. When you entered the hospital, and this is one of the reasons why I called Patrice um, after during your visit with me for that second visit. You entered the hospital and you were given, of course, everybody with diabetes is given a cholesterol medicine because people, just, I don't know if you ever heard this, but people with diabetes have an equal risk of a heart attack as a person who has already had a heart attack. So, of
Mm-hmm.
course, they're going to want you to be on a cholesterol medicine to reduce the risk for that. You were also given medicines like fenofibrate.
Mm-hmm.
You were given 36 units of insulin twice a day, and you were given lisinopril because these ACE inhibitors like lisinopril, enalapril, et cetera, are kidney protective. I would argue the most kidney protective thing you can do is not have sugars floating around in your kidneys. That's better than some medicine. So you were given all of these medicine, metformin included, and you weren't sick. So it must have been incredibly challenging for you to walk out of the hospital with all these pills. But then when I saw you, we did something quite magical. We
Yeah.
said, you know what? I'm not sure you need to take all this stuff. So talk a little bit about, what we were able to get you off of when we saw each other. And in fact, you got yourself off of some of this before you even saw me. But talk a little bit about that.
I leaving the hospital literally with a shopping bag, and I feel like I had been shopping. Um, a shopping bag full of medicine, and this is medicine that would only last me 30 days,
Mm-hmm.
and this is up to and including insulin, in which I think we had to. I've purchased at least maybe 10 to 15 small vials of insulin. Um, and this is including me skipping, but leaving that to taking medicine every day, every morning, every night, sometimes midday, depending on what was happening. Um, I started, as my body started changing, I started losing weight. I took a leap of faith. I really did. And I didn't say anything to her because her thing would be take your medicine. I left my
Mm-hmm.
medicine at home one day, and in her pajamas, she popped up at work and was
Sure
like,
did.
here it is. I'm
Right.
behind, just bring it on lunch. And I looked up and I was like, oh Lord, what in the ancient mama is going on? But she made sure that I was okay. And I'm glad she did, because shortly after, like, my body started doing some weird stuff. So I immediately took it. Um, but as my body started making changes, I started losing weight and started feeling better. I started weaning myself off certain things,
Mm-hmm.
just to see, what would happen. What would happen if I don't take this day? What would happen if
Mm-hmm.
I don't take this for a couple of days? And of course, there were adjustments I had to make.
Mm-hmm.
And, I would drink more water or drink more, um, more, instead of taking certain things. I would make sure I have my orange juice, make sure I
Mm-hmm.
eat at least 3 meals a day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when I saw you last, which was what, last week or week before that,
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I told you, so I got to be honest, because I'm telling you something that I haven't told Patrice yet, but I didn't take this for this time long, or I haven't had insulin for this long. Yeah, with some adjustments and weird things, but like my last bottle of um insulin, I literally I took the last of it and I just put the bottle in the refrigerator so she can
Mhm.
see it.
Mhm.
And but I hadn't taken that in like 2 weeks.
Mm.
I already knew she was paying attention, but I try to sneak it around the corner. And when we saw each other, he was like, "Okay, well, you can come off this, you can come off this, and how long have you been off this? Because your labs say this, and this is good." And then at that point, I was like, "Well, here's the truth. I
Mhm.
stopped taking this medicine. I stopped taking this medicine, and I ain't took this in a while." He was like, "Okay, well, let's take you off of it. Let's make it an official thing." And at that moment, when we called Patrice, I said, because you was like, I can't believe, I just literally can't believe this. And I'm like, no, this is it. And so when we called Patrice, I said, because she'll never believe, you
Mhm.
know, anything. If I go home and say, throw all this away, she'll no, call your doctor, because he's
Absolutely.
going to
I
have to
need
tell
to know.
me,
Right.
and that you finna be in the chokehold taking this medicine. So when we called Patrice and I told her, and of course she's crying, I'm trying not to cry, and yeah, and that just brings us, to, and even though I'm quote unquote, I'm not off the hook, but
Mhm.
even though things have changed dramatically, I find myself still being cautious of some of the stuff I eat, some of the stuff I
Mhm.
do. Even eating late, I won't eat late, or I try not to. And if I do, I'll be moving around trying to burn some of it as much as I can.
Mhm.
I had a burger for the first time from Wendy's um, the other day, and I prayed all the whole time I was eating that burger, Lord, please, please don't let these carbs stick to me because I went from a 4X t-shirt to what I have on now, which is extra large.
Mhm.
Literally, literally. When I left the hospital, she bought me an extra large jogging suit, and the only thing I could think was, this lady got jokes. And because I know that I was in a 3X, 4X in a t-shirt,
Right.
and
Right.
jogging suits, I was like 2X, 3X,
Mm.
and you bought me an extra large. You bought me some extra large drawers.
I
I'm like,
did.
what is happening? What is happening? My shoes were too big. I went from a 10.5 11 to a 9.5,
Mm.
and
What?
yeah, it was. I mean, my robes, and I've paid thousands of dollars for these robes
Mhm. Okay.
from the House of Hanson on the north side, and I put on one of my robes, and I was like able to put two bodies in there. And I'm like, okay, well, this is really huge, but I didn't want to I'm not going to get anything taken in
Mhm.
until I lose what I want to lose at this point. And, but to see that transformation, um, because I made sure that I followed that keto for the
Mhm.
most part to the
That's
T.
right. That's right.
Even with watching my carbs,
That's right.
and we went from, um, we started eating lettuce wraps, and instead of the we would use the spinach wraps or the taco wrap. We would make it fun, make it interesting,
Yeah. Right.
and to see how supportive everybody was. But it was just a change of what I eat, change
Yeah.
of how I respond to a lot of stuff. And then when you took me off them, and I have not missed um, I haven't. Well, obviously, I haven't missed a meal, but I haven't missed those medicines, and I haven't needed them.
What are you taking now?
Metformin.
Now, I want to pause for a second. And I'm saying this not just for my patients and just the community in general, but even the clinicians. Standard of care says you got to take the statin, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a different philosophy. My philosophy is if you reverse or get rid of diabetes, then that risk for a heart attack that we were worried about, it goes away. So do some people benefit from a statin? Yeah, people who are not controlled, people who have had heart attacks, but I don't need all that extra. So, but the system penalizes us for not having you on a statin,
Right.
just so you know. Now, but I tell patients, you stay on the statin until you reverse it. if you reverse it, we're getting off the medicine. We also can do, I don't think we've done a heart scan yet. Is that in the works? Yeah, we're going to, yeah. So
Well,
we didn't.
we did one initially when we first started.
We did order. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure. So we'll do a heart scan because the American Heart Association says if you have a heart scan that score is 0, then you don't need to be on the statin also. So again, I'm not anti-statin. I just want to put that out there for my clinical colleagues. But I want to highlight what you just said. I started this conversation by saying you were on insulin, 36 units twice a day.
Twice a day.
Within 3 months off, if not sooner, the so-called kidney protector, lisinopril, they penalize us if you're not on that, if you're diabetic. Well, we're reversing it, so who cares? We're going to protect the kidneys not with an ACE inhibitor or lisinopril. We're going to protect it by not having all that sugar floating through your body. So we have atorvastatin, fenofibrate, insulin, lisinopril, and we're just taking metformin. And honestly, you're going to be off of that soon. So I just want to put that out there. This is the hope that can be restored. This is what's possible. And even so you can have a cheat day when you become metabolically healthy at Wendy's. But for those who are, not having a cheat day, I've actually called ahead to a place like Wendy's and says, do you sell your patties individually a la carte? And they'll say, yeah. I say, how much per patty? And they'll say, $1.25, whatever, 150. I say, okay. And then I'll go there and say, give me 5 burger patties, give me 6 burger patties. I mean, you can do, because if you buy the whole burger with the stuff on top, you're going to pay burger prices. But if you negotiate with them, hey, I don't eat that other stuff. Can I come here and just buy patties? So those are the things that you kind of work towards, just like today we're eating. Dr. Kiltz, who was on the Reverse Carnivore documentary that I had a chance to play a small role in, he has an ice cream machine, and he just used heavy cream and eggs. You can add a little vanilla, and you can add a little, other stuff to kind of make it flavorful that are low carb. But I'm gonna tell you, you can make ice cream with heavy cream and eggs. I mean, anybody watching this or listening to this, just Google Dr. Kiltz ice cream. It's like, so there's things you can do that'll allow you to still kind of exist in a way like you previously did, but in a way that's safer. And I just really think that's important. So now let's talk a little bit about this idea of being motivated. And maybe Patrice, you can comment on this a little bit. I know you motivated, Desmond by, kind of making sure he did the right thing. I'm sure you're motivating him and encouraging him by making sure he's eating right. He's doing that himself as well. But talk a little bit about, I talk to patients, as you know, every day, and there's buckets of responses. Some is, doc, I'm in crisis mode right now. I can't make those changes right now. I just lost family members. I got too much going on. And then you have the other extreme where people do a 360. You kind of did the 360. I just want to hear a little bit from you guys about what is it that motivated you, or what did you do, Patrice, also to help motivate him to make these changes that allowed this low carb message to resonate?
I think my whole idea, and even with like some of my friends, I try to tell them like, we have, like, our oldest is in baseball, the second oldest is in football, and then the two youngest ones are all over the place. So like we need to be
Yeah.
semi able to move around for them. Like yesterday,
Yeah.
Tyler had a baseball game, DJ
Yeah,
had a football game. I was at work. He was running around with them. So like, but a lot of times it's just, it's just the fact of we need the energy first and foremost. I think in our conversations, our children were like the number one. Like we got to be here for them. And then upon finding out that we were pregnant, yeah, that in itself, we were just like, okay, look now, one of us got to one of us got to stick with it. And so just
And that's what Desmond, when we were in clinic, one of
Mhm.
the first things he did, he was so proud. He just pulled up an image of you with your big belly, right?
Mhm.
And he showed it to me. He said, "Doc, look at this. You won't believe this." And so I know that that resonates with him as well. It's like, dude, I got something in the oven. I cannot be sick.
Yeah, so I try to just keep that in the forefront. Like we
Yeah.
have little people, big little people that need all of us.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to the church.
In addition to the church, who honestly
Mm.
they fully, not only do they respect him, but they really do literally depend on him.
Mm-hmm.
Um and you can't function and you can't be what you need to be for everybody else if you're not doing for yourself.
I have a
So
minister who passed a couple years ago, but his family is really close associated with my church, and
Mm-hmm.
I had to fly to Arizona. We had just came back from Florida. The next day, I flew to Arizona. All of this is while I'm taking medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I got on the plane feeling weird and had to,
Mm-hmm.
they don't sell fruit anymore
Mm-hmm.
at the airports, and so I had a piece of candy. And so, flying back, they made sure that I had, because she didn't fly back with me. They made sure I had fruit in my bag,
I
and I was
literally
like,
called them like, "Yo, watch him. We got him. Don't
and
worry about
so,
it."
when I got to Arizona, the young lady picked me up. She said, "Well, Bishop, your wife wants you to check your sugar, and I'm going to take a picture of you doing it." I said, "Please don't." you know, and even throughout the whole day, and I was only there for a day, and they flew me back home. Check your sugar, and every now and then she'll text me, "Did you check your sugar?"
Mhm.
People in church text me, "Did you check?" I was being Bob the Builder or handyman, and decided to try to attempt to change the toilet at my church, and I broke it, and I
Cut your finger.
cut my finger,
Yeah.
Mm.
and so there's blood everywhere. And my
Mm.
thought process is, I'm a man. Find me a Band-Aid. I'm
Mm-hmm.
good. After church, when everybody found out what was happening, it was like an emergency room in the church. I'm like, first of all,
Because you
this
can't
happened
just
like
cut yourself.
hours ago. And so I
Mhm.
figured out that I was bleeding in I was cutting another place. And one of my spiritual daughters, I kind of like signaled for her to come over because I didn't want her to know because she would panic.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know that she was in nursing, had went to nursing school.
Mm.
And so from that day forward, she was just all up my behind. And I'm looking like, look, all of you Patrices can go and sit down. And so when I come in, I get like this. I come into church and get this full examination, and I'm looking
Absolutely.
like, well,
Wow.
I'm the
They
person
really
supposed to be
do.
laying hands on the sick
They
and they
do.
recover, y'all.
They do.
So
They do.
it's a big motivating factor for me to have um, not just my spouse, who I lay next to every day, but the people around us. Sometimes when I'm preaching, they'll come and I slide candy on the pulpit because sometimes I may not eat right away on Sundays, and so they'll be timing me like, okay, get ready to relax, and making sure I have whatever I need to recuperate from service, before and after. But to have Patrice and everybody that and sometimes it seems like that they're watching too much of me, but
Mm-hmm.
it's all necessary, especially as a man that's used to doing whatever he wants. But Patrice, definitely keeps in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
we have children and
Right.
your children need you. I remember
Mm-hmm.
telling, I don't think I have it. I remember telling, I think I moved it. I remember telling DJ, my son, for
Mm-hmm.
the first time about me having diabetes. And I told him, showed him that I had to stick myself twice a day and everything. And I told him that one day something was happening. I said my sugar's low, and so he went with my mother. And when he came back, he went with my mother to Denny's. And when he came back, he said, "Daddy, I have something for you."
Mm.
And I'm like, "Okay." He was like, "I'll give it to you later." And so he pulled me to the side and he gave me these sugar packets.
Mm.
And he said, "Daddy," he said, "I don't want your sugar to get low because I don't want you to die." And
Mm. Mm.
I'm sorry.
I feel you. I feel you. Listen, this is why we are doing this. This is why we're trying to restore hope. Let me say this real
Make
quick
sure you
as
edit
you.
that out.
Let me say this. And they said she was the sensitive one. I'm good. But
Oh,
check this out. Think about now. I think about us at clinic. I mentioned that there's not a lot of guys at clinic, right? And we do our fist bump. When I see you before I got to know who you were, uh, I saw you as a guy that I could hang out with, watching the game with. I'm a big Jimmy Butler, so we can watch Jimmy Butler try to beat Denver. God bless him for that, right? Good luck with that. Even though
good
he's my
luck.
favorite, yeah, he's my favorite player, but I'm praying on that one. So, but I didn't know your story. I didn't know about all these babies,
Yeah.
future babies. I had not met Patrice. I did not know you were a bishop. I just know that you help serve our patients at the clinic. And for me, it helped me to understand my purpose. My purpose is to spread this healing message throughout the world. But what people don't understand is it's just not one person. It's just like you're not just a number. You're a person who impacts hundreds, if not thousands of people every single day. So it is our obligation to give a person like yourself, your family, an opportunity to spend as many days on the planet as possible. And our babies, they understand this. They may not understand it like we do, but they understand that we want daddy to be here.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to make my contribution to making sure he's here. And I love the fact that you had your moment. And what I love even more is that I know it's going to be, you're just like, you're going to have that butterfly effect. And so many people down the route, and some who will never meet because they'll hear this and will never meet them, but then their lives will change because you were able to restore your health. And I just really appreciate that. I also understand as a man of God that your spiritual side helps you a lot. So maybe share the how has your faith helped you to achieve what you've achieved so far?
Well, the Bible says, "I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prosper." And it's never meant for us to be sick. However, in things happen, life happens. I tell people all the time, as long as you live, life is gonna keep on lifing. And sometimes you
Mm,
have to make adjustments. But you know, God, God is a healer for real. And this is in whatever religion or denomination. God is God, and He always has a way through the things of the earth to help heal your body. The Bible said the leaves on the tree are good for the healing of the nation, and it talks and in that it talks about that's why we have these greens and all those things that are healthy for you, or salads
mhm,
that are healthy for you, um, or anything that comes from nature itself. And so during this transition, because the typical black church deals a lot with fried chicken, down home southern cooked meals,
mhm,
hog maws and ham hocks, and all of these things that are good to us, but not good for us. Of course,
mhm,
everything has its place in moderation, because there's nothing like, and my mother-in-law makes, and I don't eat bread, but she makes some rolls
Mm.
that
Mm.
I might be in trouble
Yep.
every time because I take a baggie home.
What did you remember? Martin said, "My mama biscuits." You remember that?
You don't mess with my mama biscuits. Don't talk about my mama biscuits. And she said, Desmond, just try one. And I tasted one, and I swear I tasted heaven. I know what
Mm.
heaven tastes like, but and it's so good. And we did because her grandfather
Mm.
is a pastor or was a
Mm.
pastor. He passed 2 years ago, and so they're deeply rooted in spiritual faith. And we had a function when they installed their new pastor, and I helped serve because her father is a chef. So big ups to Uncle Booker's Barbecue, shouting them out. That's my father-in-law. And so he catered, and Mama made some rolls. And everybody that came to get food was like, "This your mama rolls?" Yeah. Yep. So what I did was, while I was serving, I made my plate and put my rolls to the side.
Mm.
Don't touch my mama bit. So, but this journey has really helped me not just increase my faith, because without God I would be nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then God sends people in your life
Amen. That's right.
that can get to you and relay certain messages that you are not paying attention to. He sends good
Yeah.
doctors in your life. So because of that, I've been able to hear from God more clear. I've been paying close attention, and it's so funny because Patrice and I and some of my other ministerial colleagues often have the conversation through this. At the beginning of this and through this, the Lord literally silenced me.
Mm. Mm.
He was speaking to me, but silenced me
Mm.
to help me heal through this,
Mm-hmm.
and to help me, go through this journey. And when he took me off mute, I
Mm-hmm.
was able to give the people life,
Mm.
because unfortunately nothing dead can give life. Only life can produce life.
Mm.
And so while I was slowly dying, he silenced me so that he could, resuscitate me and then allow me to give that life. Or
Cool.
the Bible says, Jesus said that I came that you might have life and that more abundantly. So,
Mm.
my faith has definitely increased. And I'll tell anybody, like the doctor said to me, you must know a man, or you must believe in God. And I was, and they said to me at Accident Hospital, what's your faith? I said, oh, I know God. I know him for myself.
Mm.
I swear I do. Because had it not been for him, I really would not be here. And
Mm-hmm.
so that same message of faith that healed me, I look for it to impact the lives of others. I told the church, was it Sunday? I told the church Sunday, the good news, and I had stayed
Mm-hmm.
silent all week, but I told the church Sunday the good news, and everybody just went up. And I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
But
Yes.
all of this happens, there's a role that we have to play. We can't just
That's
rely
right.
on God. There's things that we have to do on this end. So,
That's interesting. It actually, you said something. You said, God always has a way, and the earth is filled with things that can help us heal. You mentioned about leaves on a tree, the greens and things like that. But I think it's really important that people are alert to when that is occurring. When are you being helped by God, right?
yeah,
And sometimes that occurs not with the things that are obvious.
right,
Sometimes you think
right,
he'll tap you on the shoulder and say, "Okay, that's the person, that's the situation." And I think for you, what I'm feeling and what I think has happened with our relationship is that sometimes it's through people, right?
yeah,
And getting so we didn't get necessarily that. Thank God. See, this is what I love about the world. We all play a role. The hospital saved your life too. They may have not told you about keto and low carb, but they sure kept you from dying from diabetic ketoacidosis. So
right,
they played a huge role
yeah,
in making sure that we can sit before each other right now and have this conversation. But it's that ongoing education. So when I talk to people, like for example, we had some air fried chicken wings yesterday, and and if we fry chicken, we do not put flour on it because it's not the chicken or the skin, it's the flour that's the issue. It's not and shout out to the barbecue joint. It's not the barbecue per se. It's not the meat. It's the sauce. So they do have Sweet Baby Ray sauce without sugar. They do have rubs you can put on your meat. And yes, when I go to other rib places, I had not been to your family's yet, but I will say, can you give me some ribs without the barbecue sauce? And then you work around it and you figure this out. So I think it's really important that people hear your message, understand that they can do the same thing. And one of the things that some people will do when they're on this keto journey, they won't be hungry and they may fast. And I'm curious, maybe Patrice can comment on this briefly too. Um, like from a religious perspective, we know a lot of people on a spiritual journey will show their sacrifice through fasting. But some people who do keto find that they naturally transition to fasting. So have you guys done any of that as you've made these changes? I know it's early, but have you been less interested in eating sometimes and skipping meals? How has that
Oh my
gone for you
God,
guys?
Yeah. And
that.
I think we do it. Sorry.
Go ahead.
We do it unconsciously.
Yeah.
Just like and sometimes he won't even say anything. Or I'll be like, yeah, well, I can't really not eat, but I'll be like, I'm gonna hold off on eating. Like I don't, I'll just drink water or something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
eat fruit or something like that. But I think we do it unconsciously. Like I think it's just like a thing it's just I think it's becoming natural.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And then in addition to the fact that with intermediate fasting, during this process, I've gotten back to I'll have a fruit smoothie or even like some chicken broth. Or I've been enjoying turkey broth, and I'll drink it like coffee. And before you know it, it's like 1 o'clock, and I haven't eaten. But I'm able to, just keep going. And so we'll fast unknowingly, and I'll immediately, through that whole time and process, just really be relying on God to get us through that moment to make sure nothing goes wrong. But it happens. It happens a lot.
Often.
That's cool. Yeah, I think for me, if you see me with my lunch, I just have half the time just a ribeye or something like that. But I just think fasting is okay, and we were made to fast, and I think that's important. What about exercise? Has exercise been a part of this journey as well?
I guess just the fact of moving around, um, in addition to fasting, in addition to eating more healthier, dealing with keto, exercise kind of just gives us that extra fuel to just keep going.
And that's really important. Exercise helps to build muscle. Exercise give you when you have more muscle, you have a better place. You have another place to store it, and I think that's really important. So I appreciate that. I think about you work in healthcare. I work in healthcare. If you had to circle back and say these are the things I'd like to see better in healthcare, what would you like to see done better?
Um, Making sure that people's stories known, and
Mm-hmm.
then customizing a plan
Mm-hmm.
to that individual to kind of help them or coach them through, getting a better life. I was saying before we dealt with that transition that one of your patients came to
Mm-hmm.
me to make another appointment, and he was kind of weary because he said, I need to lose weight, and the doctor wants to be on the scale. And the first thing I noticed was that keto diet sheet that you give out. And so
Mm-hmm.
I know who you saw. And he was like, yeah, but it's hard. And yada, yada. I said, no, it's not. I said, you're looking at somebody that was over 300 pounds and now right at 250. and I followed that to a T.
Mm-hmm.
I said
Yep.
nothing on that says that still eat, still do, but there's a way to do what you do. And I said you have to customize, or you have to make this your own and do it
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily do it your way, but do what works for you. I said you
Yep.
may not eat broccoli like I eat broccoli, but you may eat something else on that list or however. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that the healthcare should be more intentful
Mm-hmm.
with knowing the people. And granted, you have a lot of patients. Each doctor has a lot of patients, but intentful and customized and plan to fit that person.
Mm-hmm.
To say, hey, well, what do you like? What do you not like? What are you willing to change? And
Mm-hmm.
then go from there as to say, well, try this. Let's see
Mm-hmm.
how that works. Try this. Let's see how that works.
Yep.
If
That's
you
it.
if you're used to um if you're used to, and I haven't gotten her to try them yet, but if you like tater tots, they have cauliflower tater tots.
Yeah.
They're actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, they're actually pretty good.
They are. They are.
Uh,
Just gotta try it.
Miss
Yep.
Miss Carbohydrate
I'll
over
try.
here. She, but there's a way to do anything,
Mm-hmm.
and not saying that there's a substitute, but there's something that you can do in place of,
That's
and
right.
and still having your cheat moment or cheat day. It's there's a way. There's always a way.
Yeah. That's right. And I think as you think about ways to do that, again, we mentioned the Dr. Kilt's ice cream, right? Carnivore ice cream. So there's a way to do it, and you have to play with it and tweak it. You may not like it the first time you try it, but you have to hook it up. Things like tater tots. I mean, potatoes don't have a taste. Like, if you think about it, potatoes don't have a taste. Pasta don't have a taste.
Not until you put
Rice don't have a taste.
on it.
So
Yeah.
you just got to hook it up. You got to hook it up, and I think that's the key. So as we wrap up, and you guys think about, we know the podcast is protecting your nest, and the nest talks about nutrition, exercise, less stress, more sleep, recovering from trauma, the trauma of diabetic ketoacidosis. How we think. Then the rope talks about our relationships, making sure we avoid organisms and pollutants that harm us, and also making sure our life experiences service. And the other E is for making sure we protect our emotions. So when you think about your journey, what's going to be your focus over the next 12 months to help you heal, continue to heal, and to be the man you plan to be?
I on Facebook, and me and Patrice, we joke about it all the time. But on Facebook, I often say, make sure you be productive and positive. Make sure you eat healthy, drink your water, and mind your business.
Mm.
I did steal that from her, but I found myself living that. Be
Mm-hmm.
productive and positive. Eat healthy, drink my water, and mind my
Mm-hmm.
business.
Right.
If you think about the nest, if you focus more, on you,
Mm-hmm.
then you find yourself being able to do a plethora of things that had you be so being clouded
Mm-hmm.
by people. Not saying that you can't be, I pastor church, so I'm always around people. I work in a clinic. I'm always around people. She has her own hair business. She's always around people.
Mm-hmm.
But when we have our personal time is literally just that. And
Mm-hmm.
so, my suggestion to anybody is make sure you take time for you.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you take, even as we have 4 kids, a dog, and a little pistol starter in the oven, I make sure that we have person out of football, out of baseball, out of our other 2 little kids and the dog. I make sure that we have time to kind of process things on our own. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be my suggestion to anybody. Make sure you take care of you, because nobody can take care of you like you take care of you.
Yeah, that's it
And
right there.
you can't take care of nobody else unless
That's
you
right.
take care of you first. So, just making sure my journey just consisted of having some um, alone time and
Mm-hmm.
concentrating on me, my family, and the things that are necessary. Or let me say it like this: my journey consisted of prioritizing everything,
Okay,
and
cool.
that's how I was able to lose weight. That's how I was able to concentrate more. My brain is not as much on overload as it used to be. I'll be quick in the face of something going on. I'll be quick to say, not dealing with it.
That's right. Okay,
As
cool.
relates to stress and emotions, I've learned to, and I teach this at my church, you can't be so connected to where you can't disconnect. And
Mm-hmm.
disconnect doesn't mean you're walking away or leaving, just means I can't deal with that right now. I
Cool.
have to concentrate on me. So, taking that into consideration, my life is great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's great because we got knocks on the door. I love that. And let them knock and let them share what they need to. So listen, I have enjoyed the time. Obviously it takes time. You got to go and be in front of people later and speak to them. I appreciate you, Patrice, for being in front of us. And again, I'm excited about the new baby. I'm excited about the current babies. And I just think it was a great conversation, an inspiring story. And are you on social media? Is there a place where people can
Yes,
find the work you're doing?
absolutely. And not just on, not just with the church, but if anybody wants to look for me, they can find me at my whole name, Desmond Charles Battles. And I'm the only person with my whole name.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you click on my page, you'll see my family on my background.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Cool.
Her and I, along with our kids. And so it's me. And then, of course, if anybody's looking to follow the church, you can at Kingdom Temple of Glory Church. Kingdom Temple of
Mm.
Glory Church. There you'll see a lot of. We haven't done any lives lately because we just purchased a new church building,
Mm-hmm.
and so we're getting used to some things before we start displaying it on the internet. But of course, people can come and join us in worship every Sunday at 2:30
Mm-hmm.
p.m. 5537 South Racine in Chicago, Illinois. Outside of that, you can always find me on Facebook at Desmond Charles Battles and on Instagram at Dr. Glory Cloud 7. Dr. Glory Cloud 7. There you'll see you can see actually the transformation because I'm always posting pictures. And I know that
Mm-hmm.
you'll post some pictures that I sent you earlier, but
Absolutely.
you can see a lot of the transformation that I've made from me being big, her being small, to us switching roles.
Yeah,
A good
that's
words.
right. That's right.
Us switching roles. I mean,
Yeah.
and like I said, you saw some of the pictures where I was like,
Right.
you know,
Absolutely. That's
and
right.
now to see me now, a lot of my suits, I put on one of the suits that, actually one of the suits I was in the picture, and I put it on, and it was like I buckled it, everything, and thought I could just go out without a belt. And the moment I walked off, pants went down. And I was like, okay, well,
Yeah, that's right.
need to add some
That's
extra
right.
holes to this belt. But yeah, if
That's
you need
right.
to look me up on social media, I am totally visible and willing to connect with anybody to let them know that you can make it work.
That's right. Well, I thank both of you guys. I know the young folk are anxious to get mama and dad back in front of them, so
We're not anxious.
I'll let yeah. You're anxious, you just don't realize it. So I'm gonna wrap up with a couple of thoughts for Patrice. If you have to, get away and get to them, you can do that now. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna just say a couple of words. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you
And I
very
hope
much.
that this message of healing reaches more people so they won't be afraid of ketosis. Only be afraid of ketoacidosis, which you'll never have to suffer from if you have the right dietary pattern. I think we should share this message to as many people who can hear it. So if you're checking this out, make sure to share this message, because people need to know that they can heal. People need to know that there's so much more to this journey if you only understand the importance of lifestyle. So I hope you were inspired by Desmond and Patrice today. If you were, share some comments in the notes to the podcast or video. I hope their message touched you. And as we wrap up, I always remind you to continue to be safe, be well, and continue to protect your nest. You've been listening to Protecting Your Nest with Dr. Tony Hampton. For more, visit drtonyhampton.com.